shorelines that wrap the continents offer the diversity and contrasts as those of Oregon. Fog-shrouded coves, foam-crested waves beating against sandy shores, and eerie sea stacks rising from the crashing surf. These are some of the visions of wonder and excitement that await on the Oregon coast. For many travelers visiting this world of lush rainforests and barren dunes, the Oregon coast can be a place of serenity and introspection. The Pacific Ocean may lull the visitor into suspending everyday concerns and rejuvenate the spirit with its special magic. But when the greatest ocean in the world gathers its fury and rages at the land, it is a show of unleashed power that thrills and delights spectators. Getting to the coast is easy for travelers on Interstate 5. Portland, Salem, Albany, Corvallis, Eugene, and Roseburg offer direct routes to coastal cities. U.S. Highway 101 is an easygoing drive running parallel to the crashing breakers. The well-maintained road twists and turns around the capes and bays. It may rise to an elevation of several hundred feet above sea level and then dip down to flat, sandy beaches. Our tour begins in Astoria, the northernmost point in Oregon, at the mouth of the Columbia River. After the Columbia River bar was first crossed by Captain Robert Gray in May of 1792, a flurry of explorations began in the newly discovered territory. Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark led the first overland expedition to the unexplored frontier. The first permanent American settlement on the coast was established by the New York merchant John Jacob Astor in 1811. This fur trading post eventually blossomed into the seaport known today as Astoria. This city once rivaled San Francisco with opulent homes and imported culture. The first U.S. post office and customs house west of the Rockies was established in Astoria. Today, Astoria is a thriving seaport, hosting a number of attractions for the visitor. An auto tour of the city's scenic route will reveal many of the ornate homes which survived the ravages of fire that destroyed most of the city in 1922. One of the more interesting Victorian homes is the 1885 home of the first licensed bar pilot, Captain George Flavel. It is said that Captain Flavel's wife kept a light going atop the cupola while her husband guided ships across the treacherous Columbia River bar. Today, the home is a county museum open to the public. The scenic drive through Astoria eventually brings the traveler to the Astoria Column, which not only offers a commemorative mural of historic events of the region, but also a splendid view of the surrounding area. The 4-mile-long Astoria Bridge can be seen from this vantage point. This engineering marvel is the longest continuous truss suspension bridge in the world. Crossing the Columbia River at its mouth, it links Oregon and Washington. The Columbia River Maritime Museum offers a unique panorama of marine history through spectacular displays. From early galleons to World War II battleships, here there is something for everyone. A few miles southwest of Astoria is the reconstruction of Fort Clatsop, headquarters for the Corps of Discovery, led by Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark during the winter of 1805. This national monument was reconstructed according to specifications found scratched on the cover of the Journal of Captain Lewis. During the summer, the staff of the park dress in the clothing similar to that worn by the members of the expedition. Visitors learn about the lives of the explorers and watch the staff perform duties similar to those which occupied the adventurers during their long winter stay. Another fort in the area is Fort Stevens. This decommissioned military installation served as a defense point for the busy Columbia River from the Civil War period until just after the Second World War. This is the largest state park in Oregon and is the only place in the continental United States to have been fired on by an enemy warship since the War of 1812. During World War II, a Japanese submarine surfaced and fired several rounds, damaging a nearby sand dune. Just north of Fort Stevens is another relic of the past, the wreck of the Peter Iredale. The Iredale was a merchant ship driven into the beach by high winds in 1906. The remains of the vessel are now rusting in the wash of the Pacific Ocean. This treacherous stretch of water has sometimes been referred to as the graveyard of the Pacific. Whether during a violent winter storm or idyllic sunny day, visitors and residents alike find the allure of the sea irresistible. During the summer months and most weekends, coastal cities swell with visitors. Fine dining, tourist attractions, and spectacular scenery draw people from near and far. Seaside is a modern ocean community shining from a recent restoration of its downtown core. The remodeled area features many interesting stores, restaurants, and even an amusement center. A favorite pastime of tourists is to walk or ride bicycles down the city's promenade. For the artist or the nature lover, there is no place along the Oregon coast like Cannon Beach. Known for its artist colony, this village is well stocked with galleries and art-related activities. In the summer months, the village hosts a sandcastle building contest, which attracts sand sculptors from around the world. Who wouldn't be inspired by the impressive bulk of Haystack Rock, the third largest monolith in the world? This 235-foot-high rock is a protected wildlife refuge. Beachcombers can see starfish, sea anemone, mussels, and tiny crabs. Removal of these creatures who live in a delicate balance of nature is strictly prohibited. Tillamook Head juts out into the sea just north of Cannon Beach and carries on its steep slopes Ecola State Park. As you walk around the imposing headland, you will be following paths once used by coastal natives and early pioneers. Indian Beach was named for the Native Americans who once lived here, surviving on the sea's bounty. Just offshore is the loneliest of the coastal lighthouses. Tillamook Rock Lighthouse was only accessible to early lighthouse keepers during relatively calm seas. During the violent winter storms, huge waves sometimes hurled rocks that smashed through the windows of the lighthouse. Today, this tiny island station is a mausoleum and shrine. Just south of Cannon Beach is Oswald West State Park. It is named for the far-sighted governor who preserved the Oregon coastline for public use. Thanks to his efforts, less than 10% of the nearly 400 miles of coast shoreline is privately owned. From this park, you can descend to Short Sands Bay, sometimes known as Pirates Cove or Smuggler's Cove. It is rumored that here the crew of a wrecked Spanish galleon buried their treasure. Near the city of Garibaldi, Tillamook Bay comes into view. Various species of waterfowl can be observed in the shallows and tidal flats. This is also a popular fishing spot for the migratory Chinook, silver, and coho salmon, as well as bass, flounder, and perch. It was at this bay on August 14th, 1788, that Captain Gray first stepped ashore in Oregon, mistakenly thinking this was the great river of the West he was looking for. 4 years later, Captain Gray made his historic crossing of the Columbia River Bar. Captain Gray's landing party was attacked by Indians who killed one of his crew members. A historical marker at the north end of the bay commemorates this sad event. Today, Tillamook is better known as the cheese capital of the West Coast. A mild climate and rich pastures support thousands of dairy cows whose milk is destined to become one of the many delicious cheeses produced in the area. The Tillamook Creamery Association's cooperative cheese factory produces cheddar, American, and other fine cheeses. The factory produces about 28 million pounds annually, making it the largest cheese producer in the West. It is a modern factory, but still incorporates a handmade approach in its manufacturing process. The traveler along Highway 101 may want to detour from the main road at Tillamook and cruise down the Three Capes scenic route, which passes Cape Meares, Cape Lookout, and Cape Kiwanda. There are many parks and pullouts along this route, affording spectacular vistas. At Cape Meares, you can find an excellent viewpoint from the beacon room of Cape Meares Lighthouse. Of the many lighthouses dotting the coast, only a few are open to the public. The beacon at Cape Meares has been replaced by a modern but less elegant station. From the lighthouse, a view of Three Arches is reason enough to pause for a snapshot or two. Three Capes Loop winds around the rocky headlands and dips down to dune-wrapped beaches. Hikers and naturalists enjoy the extensive trails and variety of wildlife at Cape Lookout State Park. This popular 1,500-acre park is open year-round. The impressive bulk of the Cape looms to the south of the main parking area. A hike to the end of the Cape offers a sweeping view of the coastline. Oregon was a shallow sea ages ago, when volcanoes and glaciers reshaped the continents. Sand collected in its bottom and became exposed when the sea receded. Today, sand dunes remain reminders of this prehistoric time. The dunes now resound not with the roar of the surf, but of man-made machines. Thrill seekers on the coast often seek out some of the many dune buggy recreational areas. One of the most popular off-road locations is at Sand Lake. Enthusiasts from all over come to race across the blowing sands. Three-wheelers, sand rails, and other off-road vehicles provide an exhilarating activity for the bold fun seeker. While the Oregon coast brings images of sand, surf, and sea, the area is also known for its verdant forests, blanketing the slopes of the coastal range. Those interested in the forested regions might take the opportunity to drive through the Cascade Head Experimental Forest Auto Tour, just north of Lincoln City. The 10-mile tour begins at Three Rocks Road, just past the Salmon River. Here the road winds through a dense growth of western hemlock, Sitka spruce, Douglas fir, and western red cedar. The Siuslaw National Forest has many pullouts along the route with informative signs explaining the many aspects of the coastal forests. Near Lincoln City is Rhodes End Wayside, a picturesque setting of tidal pools and rock formations. Many beachcombers and rock hounds come here to search for agates, jasper, petrified wood, and Oregon jade. This scenic wayside is a favorite of photographers for the natural beauty found here. Anchoring the upper end of the central Oregon coast is Lincoln City, stretching from Cascade Head on the north to Siletz Bay on the south. With the densely forested Coast Mountain Range as a backdrop, this seaside community boasts over 7 miles of flat, accessible beach and any number of recreational activities. At Devil's Lake, fish and swim, camp and boat, water ski and windsurf, or just plain relax. A trip to Siletz Bay rewards with fun-loving harbor seals and a variety of other wildlife. Approach quietly, and you might be able to capture a close-up photo of these wary marine mammals. The many galleries in the region show off their works. Some coast artists have opened their studios to the public. South of Lincoln City begins a stretch of coastline that has dozens of parks and roadside attractions to choose from. Picnicking, beachcombing, and just walking hand in hand along the beach are offerings at the lovely Fogarty Creek State Park. A must for nearly every visitor, whether it's their first trip to the Oregon coast or a return visit, is the village of Depot Bay, home of the world's smallest harbor. Daily charter fishing trips leave this tiny port to fish for salmon, halibut, bass, and tuna. An aquarium well known for its playful seals begging for handouts is nestled among the unique shops. Depot Bay is an excellent spot for whale watching. The migratory movements of the gray whale often bring them quite close to shore during the spring and fall. Many of the charter boats here offer whale watching excursions, but sometimes a good pair of binoculars or a sharp eye is all the curious onlooker needs to see these gentle giants. At Whale Cove, just south of Depot Bay, the pounding surf has carved several caves in the cliffs. These cliffs are fun to explore, but changes in tides can and sometimes do strand unwary visitors. As one drives the Otter Crest Loop, vistas of Cape Foulweather poke through the forested headlands. Discovered in 1778 by Captain James Cook, the Cape was aptly named, as winds gusting over 100 miles an hour have been recorded here. An observation point atop the sheer face of the Cape overlooks the inn at Otter Crest and miles of scenic coast. From this lofty point, the broad expanse of the world's largest body of water presents a perfect place for a moment of reflection or a display of affection. Near the end of the Loop Drive, an unusual rock formation can be seen. Devil's Punch Bowl was formed when two sea caves merged to form one large cave. The roof of this cave then collapsed, forming a large bowl into which the sea churns and boils. Just offshore is Otter Rock, named for the sea otters which once thrived along the Oregon coast. Today, few of these playful sea mammals are seen, victims of the fur trade which opened this wilderness long ago. On days when the surf and weather are just right, surfers plow into the waves just south of Devil's Punch Bowl, riding the crest of a wave or just waiting for the perfect curl. These surfers wear wetsuits to protect themselves from the chilly waters of the Japanese current. Newport is the fourth largest city on the coast and is situated around Yaquina Bay. Here you'll find a smorgasbord of activities, from sternwheelers to lighthouses. The Old Town area takes you past canneries where Dungeness crab, shrimp, and other seafoods are processed. You can watch commercial fishing boats offload their catch or see fishermen mend their nets. Oregon State University based its Marine Research Station in the Mark O. Hatfield Marine Science Center. This facility, on the south side of the bay, has a number of displays on marine biology and geology. Adjacent to the Hatfield Marine Science Center is the Oregon Coast Aquarium. This 32-acre facility houses over 190 species. Outdoor exhibits include sea otters, harbor seals, sea lions, wave-pummeled tide pools, a coastal cave, and the largest walk-through seabird aviary in North America. Indoors, 4 galleries replicate habitats found on the Oregon coast. An exhibit in the Sandy Shores Gallery depicts the unique habitat formed by man-made docks and piers. Jellyfish provide the centerpiece for the Coastal Waters Gallery. This acrylic cylinder is 8 feet in diameter and is one of the most popular exhibits. At Walport, the Alsea Bay Bridge spans peaceful Alsea Bay. But beneath this placid exterior lies treasure, exquisite, edible treasure. For Walport is one of the best places on the Central Oregon coast to try your luck catching delectable Dungeness crab. Boats, crab pots, and bait can all be rented locally. The cool waters of Alsea Bay are also home to cockles, mud clams, horsenecks, and razor clams. Fishing on the Alsea River is another experience not to be missed at Walport. Heralded as the salmon fishing capital of the world, it is home to prodigious runs of coho and Chinook salmon, steelhead, and cutthroat trout. From June to December, the tiny village of Yachats is the place to be for smelt fishing. In Yachats, you'll find a quiet, unhurried atmosphere, as exemplified by the historic covered bridge up the Yachats River. It's a setting that's perfect for rest and relaxation, and maybe even a little romance. The surf is really up during the winters on the Central Oregon coast, and Yachats is one of the best places for storm watching. Observe from a snug room or cozy cottage as nature reveals her full fury in astonishing displays of raw power. Just south of Yachats in the Siuslaw National Forest looms massive Cape Perpetua, the highest and most dramatic promontory on the entire Oregon coast. Offering a self-guiding auto tour, hiking trails, and superb lookouts, Cape Perpetua is truly awe-inspiring. Its majestic overview of both coastline and distant ocean horizons provides visitors a commanding vantage point to admire the striking scenery of the Central Oregon coast. A newly renovated visitor center contains exhibits explaining intertidal zones, Native American history, and the ecology of the Siuslaw National Forest. Outside the visitor center, a switchback trail winds down to Devil's Churn. Eons of persistent ocean tides have carved a narrow channel into a soft vein of rock in the headland. The surging waters continue this process today in a never-ending cycle of erosion. During low tide, the shoreline at Devil's Churn reveals a vast natural marine garden, a perfect opportunity to explore the intertidal pools that are home to many sea creatures. But watch out for the surf. Even in calm weather, Some of the largest waves along the Oregon coast crash into the rocks here, spraying everything in their path. Every visit to the coast offers a variety of pastimes: fishing in the surf for perch, clambering over volcanic deposits of sea-carved basalt, camping in well-kept parks a stone's throw from the beach, or just walking barefoot at water's edge. When the weather turns bad, museums, gift shops, or cozy beachside cabins are the places to be. Humans aren't the only ones that like to be indoors during bad weather. The Oregon coast boasts the largest sea grotto in the United States and the only one in the world where sea lions live year-round on the mainland. At the Sea Lion Caves, just north of Florence, sea lions thrive in the protected enclosure of the cave. Here they mate and raise their young. The entrance to the natural sanctuary is about 200 feet above the cave. A modern elevator delivers tourists to the viewing area. The Darlingtonia wayside just south of the Sea Lion Caves offers a look at a weird carnivorous plant called the cobra lily. It is also sometimes known as the pitcher plant or Darlingtonia. These strange-looking plants grow in marshy terrain. They lure insects with a strong scent, then trap them with their sticky inner walls. Today's residents of the coast are proud of their cities. On any given weekend during the summer months, a festival or special event takes place somewhere. Yachats hosts a kite festival. Kites of every shape and color fill the sky. Florence celebrates with a rhododendron festival that includes a parade of marching bands, beauty queens, and businessmen on bikes. At Depot Bay, there's a salmon bake. The beauty of Oregon's parks and beaches is just one part of the natural attraction of the area. Early settlers and explorers came to this land drawn by the wealth of resources found here. The twin cities of North Bend and Coos Bay grew to be the largest of the coast communities, prospering from the wealthy harvests of land and sea. Seafood, from oysters to salmon, are taken from the bay and ocean to be processed at the canneries prior to shipment worldwide. Timber, cloaking the mountain ranges, has long been a mainstay industry of the area. This, of course, is changing due to concerns for forest conservation. Of the many timber products Oregon produces, none compares in beauty to the rare and delicate-grained myrtle wood. This evergreen hardwood grows only in Oregon and California. Craftspeople that work the wood produce art well suited to the delicate grain of the tree. South of Charleston, the road leads to Cape Arago and several scenic parks like Sunset Bay and Shore Acres. The lumber baron and shipping magnate Lewis J. Simpson built his mansion at Shore Acres. Today, all that remains of the elegant clifftop manor are the gardens and the groundskeeper's quarters. These stately formal gardens cover 7 acres. The grounds are extremely well kept and offer visitors a look at the English-style formal gardens that were so popular among the elite at the turn of the century. The southern coast of Oregon is less populated than the northern shore. Here, a mild climate and rugged landscape beckons to visitors. Bandon is a quiet little coastal village that nearly slipped into obscurity by wildfires that plagued the forested coast. In 1873, George Bennett of Bandon, Ireland, arrived at the community then known as Seaside City. To remember his homeland, the Irishman brought some cuttings of an ornamental shrub called Irish gorse. Before long, it grew everywhere. A long, dry summer in 1936 and an errant spark from a logger's slash fire combined in a thicket of gorse to create a blaze that completely obliterated the town in only a couple of hours. But Bandon rebuilt itself and continues to grow. It is easy for Bandonites to keep a face toward the future. They have a special reminder. A somber face peers upwards at the eternal stars, while tendrils of sea foam become strands of hair floating above the submerged shoulders. This eerie rock formation is called Face Rock. From Bandon southward, these sea stacks become a frequent sight. The West Coast Game Park is an animal lover's dream. An original walk-through safari, it is one of the largest free-roaming exotic animal collections in the West. It offers a special, intimate experience for all ages. From lambs to llamas, these animals were raised from infancy here at the park. Most roam freely throughout the 21 acres. Others are confined for the mutual protection of man and animal. Some of the residents have their own opinion about this human invasion. Many settlers flocked to the Oregon Territory in the mid-19th century. Some came to farm, others came to pursue the yellow gleam of gold. Miners swarmed over the streams and rivers seeking the bright metal. The Rogue River was one of those streams that lured settlers and miners alike up its sheer-walled canyon. When the gold rush was over, many left, but other hardier souls put down roots and stayed. What was once a journey of several days is now a comfortable yet exciting trip aboard the powerful jet boats of Gold Beach. Several companies offer tours up the mighty Rogue, but the oldest operating tours are with the official U.S. mailboats. This is one of the few places in the U.S. still getting mail deliveries by boat. The Rogue River mailboats began making deliveries in 1895, bringing mail and supplies to remote settlements. Today, powerful hydrojet boats cruise up the Rogue, allowing passengers close observation of wildlife. Black-tailed deer browse in grassy glades. Great blue heron take flight gracefully. Otters exchange curious stares with amazed onlookers, while snowy white egrets stalk the shores. The majestic bald eagle holds court from a lofty branch, and harbor seals hunt in the bay for salmon. The deceptive road flows slowly during the first part of the journey upriver. But in the upper regions, boats bounce and splash across the roaring rapids. Nearing the end of our Oregon coast adventure, we head to Brookings. The wild and rocky shoreline here is typical of the southern Oregon coast. Samuel H. Boardman State Park has many fine beaches and coves to explore. "10 miles from the California border, our tour ends at Brookings. The town enjoys some of the finest weather in the state. One of the many parks in the area is Loeb State Park. This park is known for the evergreen aromatic scent created from the myrtlewood trees that heavily populate it. As bountiful as the Oregon coast is, with its many beautiful parks and man-made diversions, it is the rich heritage and natural beauty that sets the stage for it all. It is the history of hundreds of thousands of years in which the ocean has thrown itself against the land, creating beach and cliff alike. It is the timeless sound that touches the spirit of the soul searcher, inspires the artist, and woos the lover. From winter storm to summer sunset, at the Oregon coast, an adventure awaits.